Hello, hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. All these videos they get posted on this subreddit right here. I'll have a link to this down below. I make updates with all the news that comes out throughout the day. Anything you need, you can ask me questions about the slate. I will respond to you before lock, and then if you need help with like night slate stuff like that, most of the time I'll be around, but sometimes I won't. But this will be linked down below if you ever want to talk to me, if you're not in my Discord. And if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can get a hold of me right here on Twitter right here. All right, so let's get into my lineup from tonight. And if you are interested, in more in-depth content where I give you guys cores to play of four player pools for cash and tournaments, private videos, night slate videos, night slate cores, showdown cores. I'm literally working around the clock to give out content, like 13 hours a day. My Discord link will be down below. All right, yeah, let's get into my lineup from tonight, and let's talk about how I went about this slate. We also had some really, really nice days in Discord. Once again, back-to-back really, really good days, but let's talk about how I went about this slate. I'd like to tell you guys my cores for each day and why I went about doing this, to help myself get better at DFS and to hopefully help you guys get better at DFS as well. I think that's really important. Um, so let's go over my core today. So my core today was Jalen Johnson. He smashed. Cade Cunningham was a core play for me at low ownership. Well, not low, but a little bit low, but not low. Like he was popular, but not chalk. Cade was a core play for me, and then Donovan Mitchell was a core play for me. And so what I wanted to do about going about this slate was if you watch my video from last night, even the public one, I told you guys this Detroit Utah game was just going to be absolutely insane for fantasy, and I wanted to play into this game, right? I looked at ownership projections. I saw Cade was going completely overlooked. He came in over his projected ownership, which the Sharks slammed him. Bojan was another one that was going completely overlooked by the field. And then, on the Utah side, Markkanen, guys like, I thought Clarkson was pretty bad at his ownership, but like guys like Markkanen, Walker Kessler was someone who I liked. Like I said, Cade, Bojan, Jalen Durant, this whole game was going overlooked by the field. And whenever you have two bad teams that play fast, don't play a ton of defense, and they're going overlooked by the field, I'm going to play into this game. And that's exactly what I wanted to do tonight. And that's why I cored Cade Cunningham. It's why I really liked other plays in this game. Um, so that was my thought process on playing guys like Cade, playing guys like Bojan, playing guys like Walker Kessler. I didn't feel good about Walker Kessler because Utah trolls that rotation. Obviously, he's coming off the bench as well, but it worked out. It worked out. And then rounding out my lineup, I thought OG was a really good play, so I just ate the chalk there. Like, I ate the chalk because I was getting different in this Detroit game a bit, well, a little bit. And then Santi Aldama, I mean, we didn't have a ton of value on this slate, so that's why I went Santi and TD McConnell. And then OG Anunoby was just, I thought he was a really good play. He had like one fantasy point in the first half, or first quarter, just super, super unlucky. And then, am I missing something? Oh, Jalen Johnson, I mean, he was just clearly underpriced. So until they price him correctly, I'm just going to keep playing him no matter what his ownership is. And then, yeah, that's mainly my process for today. I hope you guys all had a great night tonight, and let's get into this two-game slate for tomorrow, the 4th. So, this is a pretty disgusting one, guys. A really, really disgusting one. The rotations for these teams, like the Warriors, the Spurs, there's a lot of trolling that these teams do with the rotations, and you're going to have to get a lot right on this two-game slate. So, we will get into them. Since it's such a small slate, I can go a little bit more into detail. We can go over the rotations together and stuff like that. Wowie doesn't have the Bucks rotation from tonight, but I can just look at it on Google. All right, so we have Chris Middleton on a back-to-back. I do think there is a chance he could sit, so we'll go over it both ways if he does sit. But we know Brook Lopez has been closing over Bobby Portis of late. For a little bit, they were playing Bobby Portis in the closing lineup over Brook Lopez. That has gone back to Brook Lopez. I don't know if he got into foul trouble tonight or something. Not entirely sure there. We know Pat Connaughton's obviously going to be in the rotation. Malik Beasley, we know they're going to go a bit with the hot hand with, and then we know Dame, we know Giannis, we know Middleton are going to play the bulk of the minutes, and then you're going to see a little bit of, like I said, Pat Connaughton, Marshall Beauchamp, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's go over what I like from this game. So it's a smash spot going up against the Spurs. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo on a two-game slate. Of course, he's going to stand out as one of the best spin ups on the slate. But I think what you can do here is, like, I think Jokic is just going to be able to feast going up against the Warriors. I think what you can do here pretty confidently, like, if Giannis is going to be like 3x the ownership of Jokic here, like, I think I'd much rather just play Jokic. If Jokic is going to be much more popular than Giannis, I think I'd much rather play Giannis. So I think if I'm gonna play one of these spin ups, it's gonna be whoever's lower owned. I think both are pretty similar, and I can almost guarantee you there's gonna be a decent ownership gap between either of them. So that's how I'm gonna make my decision tomorrow. I think they both look similar. I think they both look amazing, and I'm going to decide if I end up playing one. It's just going to be whoever's lower owned. Damian Lillard, I mean, it's a really, really good spot going up against the Spurs. I like him for tournaments. He always goes low owned, especially on two-game slates, and it's just an upside thing, right? He has this type of upside, and it's a smash spot going up against the Spurs. Even at this price point, I do like him for tournaments. It's just literally an ownership thing and his ceiling, and it's a really, really good spot. It's just, can the Spurs keep this game close, right? So I do like Dame for tournaments. So if Middleton plays, I think he's very, very safe, right? He's just absolutely smashing of late. Now, in 33 minutes, do I think he has like 50 fantasy point upside at this price to like absolutely break a slate? I don't think so. Can he do it? Yeah, once in a blue moon. It's happened here. I think he's very, very safe. I would say he's more priced appropriately now. And then Brook Lopez at 6.2K, I think is fine to solid going up against the Spurs. Bobby Portis, I would say, is overpriced. And then here we get into the disgusting part. So if Middleton does play, Beasley, they're just going to go with the hot hand. But so his minutes are not secure. I would say he's kind of overpriced. And then guys like Pat Connaughton, Marjon Beauchamp, Andre Jackson, these three will be in the rotation also. If I had to pick one, that would be my favorite. It probably would be Pat Connaughton, but even then, they're all just darts for me. I think Pat would be my favorite if I had to pick one. All right, let's go over if Middleton is out. So if Middleton's out, it doesn't really change the top two guys for me. I'm still going to like them. And then what it's going to do is it's probably going to make Malik Beasley's minutes pretty secure. Like, I would think he'd have to play 30 plus minutes, would make him fine. Like, has a ceiling if he's hitting his shots. But you're going to see a bit more Pat Connaughton. You're going to see a bit more Marjon Beauchamp. Might see a little bit more of Andre Jackson, and then you could see possibly a bit more Bobby Portis. I would say Bobby Portis is still priced right if that were to happen, but like the value would look better. Like Pat Connaughton, I would think would have to play around 20 minutes. He would be a fine to solid value, and then you'll probably see a bit of Marjon Beauchamp. He would be a bit more in play. But yeah, let's move on to the Spurs, and I really don't know how to break down the Spurs right now. I really don't. We have Branham, I believe, doubtful. So I don't even know who's going to start for this team. I would be lying to you if I said I knew. But let's pull up the rotation last game, and the guy that got the bump when Branham went down and got hurt was Blake Wesley and Trey Jones. So those are going to be the two guys that benefit from Branham not playing. But if you take a look at this rotation, let's see how many bodies they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and minus Branham. So they ran an 11-man rotation. And if you guys watch my video for the last Spurs slate, let's start with the center rotation. So if you guys saw my video, I told you guys I don't know what they're going to do with the center rotation. I brought it up, the rotation. If you go and watch it, the last time Spurs were on the slate, I literally brought up the rotation, and I showed you guys that 2 games ago it was Barlow. The game prior, Sandro Mamukelashvili got backup 5 run in the first half, and then he only came in the second half because of the blowout. So I think both bigs are in play. They're just solely darts for me. If we take a look at the rotation for this game, I mean, they kind of just said screw it. It was Barlow in this game. Didn't play Sandro. If I had to guess, it would be Barlow, since in the game prior, in this game it was Barlow, and then 2 games ago it was Sandro, and then Barlow, but Sandro wasn't going to come back until the massive blowout. But both just strictly darts for me. Looking at the rest, so Wembanyama, his minutes have been limited of late. Can he still go for 60? Absolutely. He's one of the best fantasy producers in basketball. Amazing shot blocker. Can he go for a double double in limited time? Absolutely. Is it a good spot going up against the Bucks? Not the best, but definitely have interest on a 2 game slate just because he's the guy that can absolutely nuke in limited minutes. Figuring out the rest of the rotation is tough. So Keldon Johnson, I think, is actually the one I feel the best about outside of Wemby and Vassell. Like, I think he's gonna play around 30 minutes regardless. So he would be the one I would feel the best about. I would say he's more priced right, but he does have this type of ceiling. He's going to be very, very high usage in that bench unit. So I'm intrigued by Keldon at that price point. I would say Vassell's probably going to be the most popular between the two. I think he's a fine play, too solid. Like, I like the price point. It just comes down to if he's hitting his shots or not. And then Sochan's minutes have not been great of late. He's more of a strictly tournament only play for me. But the guys I do like here is going to be Trey Jones. I think Trey Jones, he's already been playing low to mid 20s minutes with everyone healthy. I would think with Branham out, I think there's a possibility they do start him. But even if he comes off the bench, I'm expecting low to mid 20s. Solid producer. So I do like Trey Jones on the slate quite a bit. And then I would assume we would see Blake Wesley in the rotation more, and he would be a viable value. If they start like a Blake Wesley, sure, you can go there, he'd be a solid value, but it's pop. They could absolutely troll here. Nothing is safe with the bench. Just absolutely nothing is safe. Champagne's been starting. His minutes have been really, really bad. I would say he's overpriced. And then Chetty will be in the rotation a bit. He'll probably low teens minutes, a playable dart. It's just really tough to break down. I would say my favorite plays on this team are going to be Keldon, Vassell, and Trey Jones, especially if they start Trey Jones. But Blake Wesley is in play as well. All right, let's move on to Denver. So it's kind of tough to bring up last rotation because they got blown out. Or, I mean, they blew out Charlotte. And then this game, Aaron Gordon wasn't playing. So it's kind of tough. But at the top, we kind of went over the spend ups on the slate. I do like Jamal Murray if you don't feel comfortable with the value. This game was a blowout, but in the game prior, he played 36 minutes. If we are going to continue to get 36 minutes from Jamal Murray, I do think he's too cheap. So I like Jamal Murray quite a bit. Stat sheet stuffer. He has been on a tear of late as well. Not scared of Golden State either. So I think Jamal, pretty good play at that price point. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, just there for me. Michael Porter Jr., solid rebounder. Probably going to shoot the ball 12, 13, 14 times. Does have a ceiling, 2 game slate. But the guy I do like here is Aaron Gordon at 5.8K. I just think he's too cheap. I do expect he'll probably get a bit of ownership tomorrow. Good rebounder, does have some double-double upside as well. Very, very rare, but can happen. Should play over 30 minutes. So I like Aaron Gordon at that price point. KCP, 3 and D, does have a ceiling if he's hitting shots. Just a reasonable play. And then with the bench, so Reggie Jackson's probably going to play around 15 minutes. He's playable but overpriced. Peyton Watson back to the bench is probably going to play around 15-ish minutes. I'd say he's overpriced. Christian Braun's probably going to play low to mid-teens minutes, playable. And then the bigs, I have no idea. Might see some Strother, but I'm not going to go there. All right, let's move on to the Warriors. So we finally saw Steph Curry have a big game. I feel like it's been since last year, or 2 years ago, actually, since Steph's had a big game. But let's go over the rotation for the Warriors. So another team that they're just going to go with the hot hand. So what Steve Kerr is going to do here is he is going to go with the hot hand between Trace Jackson Davis, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and Klay Thompson. That's what he's going to do. Whoever's playing the best out of that grouping, obviously, like, it's not going to correlate. Trace isn't going to correlate with, like, Klay, Wiggins, Kuminga. It's going to correlate with, like, Kevon Looney, Dario Saric, etc. But the main guys of, like, Klay, Trace, Kuminga, Wiggins, they're going to go with the hot hand with, and they're also going to go with the hot hand with the bigs. So it's pretty disgusting. So, we also have, I believe, Gary Payton out. So you might see a little bit of Moody. They could just yak him and run a tighter rotation. But let's go over the top. So Steph, I always have interest in for tournaments. Not a good spot going up against Denver, but he does have this type of upside. Just feels like once every 50 games. Chris Paul, I still think he's a pretty good play at 6.4K. She'll play around 30 minutes. Stat sheet stuffer. I still like him quite a bit at that price point. Podzemski off the bench. Back-to-back games has played 29 minutes. He'll be high usage off the bench. I think he's reasonable. I think he'll probably be much lower owned than Chris Paul. Should definitely have interest there. Klay Thompson's minutes have not been great. He also got into a bit of foul trouble, but if you get a game where he is playing really, really well and he plays big minutes, he could absolutely shatter the slate at this price point. If he's going to be low owned, then I definitely have interest for tournaments. Trace Jackson Davis. Okay, so here's the thing. Going up against Jokic. Definitely could risk foul trouble here. They could also go with the hot hand with the bigs. Like, they could go to Sarge, they could go to Kevon Looney. There's a ton of things they could do here. So if Trace is going to be really, really, really popular tomorrow, I think you could definitely make the argument for fading, and the price is up. There's always risk to foul trouble. Steve Kerr benching him. We saw last game, Kevon Looney actually closed the game. So it's tough. It's tough what you want to do with the bigs here. I definitely have interest in all of them, especially the value ones. They're going to be in the rotation regardless. So I definitely have interest in all the bigs. I would say Trace is the safest of the bunch, but he is the most expensive of the bunch. And then another one. So we saw Jonathan Kuminga last game. He played 34 minutes because he was playing extremely well. Would I be surprised if he gets benched next game and plays 25 minutes and they go to more like Clay and Wiggins? No, absolutely not. So, while I do think Kuminga is a really good play because he's such a good point per minute guy, if he plays 25 minutes, he's still probably going to do well at this price point. I think there are arguments to playing like Andrew Wiggins over him. Like Andrew Wiggins, he'll probably play 20-ish minutes at worst off the bench. Could play a lot more if he's playing well. So, I have a feeling that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be one of the most popular plays in the slate tomorrow. So that's like another argument you can make. And then, like I said, with the bigs. And then I'm not going to touch anyone else. So I hope I went into detail. Hope I explained my thought process enough. This slate, there's a lot of just bullshit that can happen. It's going to be a tough one for sure. But I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one.